Good afternoon, mech warriors, mech techs, and nobles in hiding. It is I, Illiani, coming at you live from Canopus 4. We are back, unfortunately. So those of you who were with us last week may remember that I had planned to take this week off. Plans have changed, alas. This week was meant to be chill, Xenonauts 2 time. Some plans changed behind the scenes in MegaMek land. Good plans that you will enjoy. But plans that mean it's not really good for me to take some time off just yet. So I will be continuing to do dev streams this week, maybe next week. It's very vague. What I'm also going to be doing is I'm going to set us up a Discord. I've been saying that I'd do that for a while. I'll set us up a Discord because the thing I was also concerned with is when I do the Xenonauts 2 streams, I'm not going to be able to announce them on the MegaMek Discord, which means if you guys aren't watching your email inbox like an absolute hawk, you're not going to notice that we go live. So we're going to do some dev streams, definitely for this week, probably next week. As I did mention last week, I am prepping the house for viewing because we are selling our house and moving out. So don't be too surprised if the dev streams are a little bit not the usual time, but because we're doing dev streams, they will be announced on the MegaMek Discord. I used the @here today. I apologize to anybody who doesn't like tags. I just didn't want you guys missing out. So but there won't be any future @heres. It's only like for big stuff. Hammer says I should do @heres all the time, but I just don't like it myself. And I know people don't like just don't like seeing a lot of things. Radar says they just had a fantastic convoy raid. Radar, you have to send us a screenshot if you still can. Send us a screenshot, pop it in the Discord. I want to see what goodies you got. But yeah, so MegaMek streams this week. No matter what, whether I do Xenonauts during the week or Dev, Scrotorious Bastards will not be cancelled. Scrotorious Bastards is every week. I've told my wife I will not be moving into the apartment unless we have internet. We will have our Scrotorious Bastards. Radar says they did in the MegaMek channel. Let us have a perusal. So, anybody unaware, in MekHQ, there's a particular, it's a very rare scenario. You can have a convoy raid where your objective is to capture the convoy. And at the end of it, depending on how many of the enemy convoys survive, you get a pile of goodies. Let's slip over to Discord and you can see the pile of goodies that Radar just got. Pachow. They have in front of us 2.7 million civils worth of goodies. And the goodies that are picked work the same way as a normal resupply. So they will actually always be tailored to the forces you have. The logic is, like, gameplay wise, it's to make sure you're always getting worthwhile stuff. In universe logic wise, it can be perceived that your Logi lads are only taking stuff that would actually be useful, and then they're splitting it with Allied Command. So Allied Command takes the other stuff that you guys don't want. Psychotic says they remember when infantry couldn't be mothballed. I think I fixed that. I think I fixed that ages ago. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, anyway, I vaguely remember fixing infantry mothballing. But what are we doing today? We don't care about what I did in the past. That's already in the game. What am I doing today? So, today I want to do two things. We are definitely going to do one. I would like to do a second. Now, the first is that I want to redo combat training teams. I've been reviewing the code and I'm just not happy with how they work. Training combat. I'm not happy with how they work. I don't like how there's no way for the player to really track how much progress they're making in them, and I don't like how it's using a bespoke system where we do have systems in place that it could use. Now, bear with me a second. You might say, well, what systems could we use? So anybody who's been playing for a while will remember how training's combat teams used to work. How they used to work is you would get XP each week or whatever. And you could spend that XP on anything. Now that had some really big major problems. Chiefly being is if you never spent the XP, you could just keep getting XP forever. That wasn't as designed. And I personally really don't like, well, at least I didn't like how combat trait teams used to work. Nowadays, I'm a little bit more happy with them. Even with this current iteration, I still wasn't happy when I implemented it. I still didn't like them, but I've kind of come to appreciate what they add now. So, as I say, now you kind of just gain training points and eventually you get some skills up, but it's very vague, it's very behind the scenes, there's no user interface functionality, you just see whether you pass a training check or not. I really want to change that. So what are we doing? If I go to skills, no, I need to, if I go to skills, I added something a while ago. It might be skill, yes. I added a system by which, oh, it is skills. There it is. By which you could get partial XP. So you see here XP progress. Basically, if you imagine that a skill costs 10 XP to get, you could spend 5 XP and then you've spent 5 XP, but next time you're only going to need 15 XP. The 5 XP won't get you the level, but then when you spend 15 XP more, you get the level. This was introduced as prep work for the advanced character builder, which is coming before the end of next year. Because what I didn't want to happen is you do the advanced character builder, you get to the end of it, and then any skills that you didn't get all the XP that you needed in them are suddenly just wasted. That would be a bad user experience. So I added the XP progress tracking. So what we're going to do is we are going to revert back to combat training teams just giving XP. So no hidden training points, none of that. Each time it's just going to give you XP. And eventually you're going to get skills out of that XP, but you're always going to make progress, you're always going to make visible progress. So we're going back to the old way of things, but we're avoiding the problem with what's the word? It avoids the problem of just gaining infinite XP and being able to spend it on everything. But at the same time, it means we're using existing mechanics. Tira says, a loose thought from a design perspective, combat training teams giving discounts to buy the rank up for the trained skill instead of granting partial XP would unify it more with the vocational XP. Basically, it's going to kind of work that way. So each week, you're going to get, for argument's sake, 1 XP to the trained skill. And that means you could, if you wanted, then go and spend your existing XP to finish that skill off. Or you can wait, and eventually that skill will get finished off for you. Deadboard says, currently my guys can only train up to regular. That is intended, but that is not how it used to work. So, unless you've been playing MekHQ for probably about 2 years or more, you are not going to know, you're not going to have experienced how the training teams used to work. So keep in mind that if you haven't been playing for at least 2 years or more, the current system is the only system that you're going to know. The old system used to work very, very different. The current system was made in response to the problems of the old system. Tira says the old training system was busted, you could just get infinite XP. Exactly. The old training system was only meant to level you up to regular, but if you never actually spent the XP you get, you would just continue getting infinite XP forever until you decided to finally turn your character into a legendary 0/0 with all the SPAs. It was a really bad system. Then we adopted the current system, but the current system just has a lot of problems with it's not very obvious. It's not very easy to understand. Deadboard, so you're going back to the old system with guardrails? Kind of. So we're basically going back to the old system in that you're getting XP, right? But whereas the old system, you just got XP and you could spend that XP on whatever. The new system will automatically spend that XP on the skill. So it's gonna spend the XP for you. So again, we're going to go back to a skill that has, for example, it needs 20 XP to level up. If Jira says it's XP but auto allocated, exactly. Steak Dog says, I think it more is a halfway house. Yeah. So again, the example, we have a skill that costs 20 XP to level, and you, for example, get 1 XP per week when in a training team towards mech gunnery. A mech gunnery needs 20 XP to level. Again, for example, that would mean that it's going to take you 20 weeks to level up mech gunnery, or you can wait 10 weeks and then just spend an extra 10 XP that you've got from somewhere else and speed up the leveling process. So again, it takes us back to the old system, but without the problems inherent in that old system. So our first step is to make sure that XP progress is hooked up correctly, because XP progress is a prep method. It's never actually been used anywhere. So I just need to make sure to start off with that it is in fact everything's hooked up, everything's working. So that's gonna be easy enough just to go through here and just seeing, okay, we're establishing it, we've got the getters and the setters. We're writing it to XML, we're reading it from XML. So we know we got loading, we've got saving, we've got a way to get it, and we've got a way to store it. So the next thing we want to check is, are the getters and setters being used anywhere? So we're going to have a look at change XP progress first, because that's the one I'm most interested in. Okay, change XP progress. Okay. So we've got batch XP is using that already. Interesting. So I'm on here now and just trying to see what's going on here, because I'm surprised to see change XP progress is being used somewhere. Why is spin XP progress being used here? So we're going to go to have a look at the GitHub history. We're going to see who added this, and we're hoping it wasn't me. Okay, so there's get XP progress. That's good. We want that. Okay. Interesting. So let's have a look at get XP progress. How are we using get XP progress? This is the next thing we want to check. So how is it even being used? Okay, this is what I was expecting. Okay. When we improve a skill, are we clearing the old progress? Okay, so yeah, there's definitely some stuff here that needs to be addressed. For starters, we don't want people getting partial XP progress through certain systems, because that's just going to waste people's XP in a way that they're not going to enjoy. So let's go back up to our partial XP. And if anybody keeping track, I am once again enjoying the Mech Warrior experience. My My office is incredibly warm because Bandit desperately wants his window open and it's very warm outside. So when I take a break later, I might have to go and close his window. He won't like it, but it is. Oh, I see what we're doing. I see what we're doing. We're removing the old progress and taking it off the cost. Okay, so that is actually correct. That is what we need to do. But it's very poorly documented. So we're gonna have a little comment here that explains what it does. Okay, so this is actually the right system to use, but I feel like we can do this better. Let's just leave it as is for now, but we can definitely do that better. So I feel like we're going to be using this particular pattern a lot. It's something to keep in mind, but let's have a look. How are we doing it over here? Okay, cost to improve. Yeah, okay. So we're not doing the exact same pattern, but we're doing a similar pattern. But that's okay. That's actually exactly what we need. So we now know that Batch XP and Quick Train are both using the right system, and it looks like Personal Table Modifier is also doing the right system. Maybe. I think there might be a bug here, though. Get cost to improve. Yeah, okay. So I don't see in Personal Table Adapter where we are adjusting for existing. So this is, okay, so this is changing it, but where are we getting it? We can easily check that. We're just going to go back to here. We're going to see if we've got a getter. We do have a getter in the Personal Table Modifier. Okay, this is get skill. This is giving us a cost. But we saw earlier that we are changing the cost. So let's have a look. Where are we using XP progress in this? We're using it in two places. We're using it on line 3076, and we're usually using it on 607. So that means for, oh, I see. So in the command, okay, no, so everything is, okay. So here, my microphone. The good thing here is everything is, it's right. It's in place. So now that we know that the existing functionality is working, we are going to do two things. The first thing first is I can feel my phone exploding. What's going on here? Oh, apparently we got a flood watch. So if I wash away, I was warned. But what we're going to do is, rather than wrapping this tiny little Java doc, we're just going to into an existing PR. We're just going to do a PR that's just the Java doc, and then we're going to come do the rest of the stuff. So what are we going to call it? Added Java doc to unclear process. Process. No functionality changed. There we go. Okay, I am going to be back very quickly. I'm going to close the window because it is just getting unconscionably warm here. And if we've got a flood warning, it means we're probably going to get rain too, and I'd rather not have a whole bunch of rain coming in. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. So Bandit, I love my cat Bandit, but he is a pain in the ass. I went to close the window and he was nowhere near the window. He wasn't even in the same room as his window. But as soon as he saw me going into the room to close the window, he just came sprinting, shouting no at the top of his voice. But the window is closed and I can already feel the AC kicking in, and it's much, much nicer. I definitely, I've never quite gotten accustomed to the heat we get here in the south compared to the UK. I do not deal well with the heat. But here's a question for you folks. How are you all finding 51.0? Are you all having a good time? Are you kicking ass and taking names? Get the documentation. There we go. Nice and quick. Psychedelic says so far so good. Yeah. So we now I will preface this by a very, very important thing. There is still time. there is still time, but I am very happy we were able to go through the entire launch weekend of 51.0 and we didn't get any major problems. Like there's some minor stuff, like how the GM options to generate personnel at specific skill levels is broken. So if you go into bulk hire and you want to select a specific skill level, like Ultra Green, for example, it won't work. It defaults to veteran and is stuck on veteran. Same for if you right click and do the GM option to hire minimum complement, it's stuck on veteran in 51.0. But that's like not really game breaking, it's just a pain in the ass. That's probably the biggest one. There's a keep calling on combat training. There's a small bug in one of the scenario XML files that doesn't actually break anything for the player. It just means certain things don't generate quite right. Basically, it just doesn't. It might not generate certain things, but the scenario can still be played. It's not going to brick the scenario. It just doesn't quite work. At worst, it just means that the scenario doesn't generate. So it's not a huge problem. Definitely nothing we're concerned about. I did get a lot of people thinking that their scenarios were generating too large, and I investigated the ever-loving heck out of that and haven't found anything in the code or testing that suggests that is the case. It does appear that it does appear that it's not broken. Hammer, hi, hello! Glad you could join us today, Hammer. So Psychedelic says that's not true, at least with minimum complement. I have a few regulars and green people. So with higher minimum complement, the way it's broken is if you click random, it'll be random. But if you click anything else, ultra green, elite, whatever, it will always be targeted at veteran. Now you might get regular and you might get elite out of that because of how the randomization works, but it's going to be targeted at veteran, and it's a really dumb bug, but it's not game breaking. And this is what I'm saying, like there are a couple of problems in 51.0, but insofar as show stopping stuff, we got through the release weekend without anything coming to light. Now I'm going to repeat this because it does bear repeating. There is still time. There is still at least a couple of weeks before we can say, hey, this is a milestone. It is not unheard of for us to go 2 weeks until a critical bug's found. It happens, it sucks, but at least for the critical launch weekend, which is what I consider to be the most important period, because that generally is where the game-breaking stuff is first found. Because if you think, when we are in testing, we have maybe 2 people in the QA team that are generally active. Sometimes that goes down to 1. Frequently that goes down to 0, which means it's only developers testing. And if it's only developers testing, there's like 5 of us. I'm probably wrong with that exact number. It's totally not exactly 5, but there's like 5 of us. There's not many of us. Whereas as soon as we hit the launch, suddenly we have 400 downloads in 24 hours on a slow weekend. On a slow launch, we have like 400 downloads within 24 hours. Slow launch. And so suddenly you go from 5 people testing to 300, 400, 800. So the critical release weekend, that is generally where the big bugs are found. And so being able to say, hey, we went through the critical launch weekend, and in that 48 hours, in that limited view, that just snapshot of the critical first 48 hours. I'm hitting my mic right now, I do apologize. I'm doing it again. I'm gonna put my hands behind my back. They can't be trusted. But that critical first 48 hours, we did not encounter anything game breaking, and that is really, really promising. Hammer says they're cautiously optimistic at this point. Yeah, I am too. Like, cautiously optimistic. I keep saying this. We still have a couple of weeks to see how things pan out. Major issues could still be found. But so far, based only on the first 48 hours, 51 is looking to be a milestone candidate, and potentially a strong milestone. So, thingies tightly crossed. But back to what we're doing today. So, the good news is the majority of the training combat team code can stay the same. But what I don't like is specifically skill picking. So, these are all breakpoints when I was testing something yesterday. First things first, we want a skills list. I'm just trying to think how we want to do this, because what I want to do is I want to filter out certain skills. So advanced scouting, for example, I don't want to add all scouting skills. I only want to train the highest scouting skill. And this is true for infantry gunnery skills as well. So get skills per professions. How does this work? Let's go down to soldier. I want to get an idea of how we're working this. Okay. Okay, so that's going to include all the infantry gunnery skills. Okay. That's okay. That's fine. So this is going to give us all the skills we want. However, we do need to do some filtering. So we're going to come down here and get educator skills. So for educator, we're going to grab the profession skill, and then we're going to find out what the experience level is. So experience level is green, regular, veteran, yada, yada, yada. Let's think, because we need to apply some filtering here. How are we storing this data? Educator skills, we're storing it as a string and an integer. So the string is going to be skill name, the integer is going to be experience level. Profession skill, experience level. Okay, we can work with that. So what we want to do is we want to create a unique map. We want to do something like for string skill name in educator skills, and this is going to be keys because we're keying it as the string, the skill name, and then the value is the integer. If skill name, if scouting skills, How are we getting scouting skills? I literally just saw it a second ago. Done it. Is using advanced scanning. So it's over here. Okay, so it's just a straight up constant. Okay, that's good. That's nice and easy. So where am I going? Okay, if scouting skills contains skill name, then I'm going to need to do how do I want to store this? Oh, I can do it like this. String best scouting skill name. It's going to start off as nothing. And we're going to want an integer best scouting skill experience level. It's going to be, we're going to do -1. -1 means there's nothing. So now we're going to search through all the scouting skills, and if we hit a scouting skill, if scouting skills contains the skill name, I will answer your question in just a second, Deadboard, but we'll focus on what we're doing right now. But if the list of scouting skills contains skill name, we are going to check if best scouting skill, scouting experience level, equals less than 0, so -1. We are then just going to immediately populate best scouting skill name. It's going to equal skill name. And best scouting is going to equal... give me a second. Educator skills, get skill name. So what's happening here? We're going through every skill, and for every skill we're testing, is this a scouting skill? Actually, we can do this even more efficiently. We can do this even more efficiently. So let us, rather than looping through all skills, how about how about we just loop through the scouting skills for string skill name in scouting skills. We've already got skill name, but that's okay. So for each of the scouting skills, we're going to do a test. If educator skills contains key skill name, we're going to do something, but if it doesn't, we're going to just continue and skip past it. So if the scouting skill isn't in the map of scouting skills, we're just going to say ignore it. But if it is in the map, we're then going to test. Do we already have a best scouting skill assigned? If we don't, it's currently at default at -1, so we can actually add a constant here. So final int no skill picked equals -1. So that means we're not using a magic number. It's easy to see what this number actually means. If I copy paste correctly, that is. There we go. And we're just going to say, if no skill has been picked, then we're going to pick whatever skill we're currently working on. That's going to be our best scouting skill. However, if a skill has been picked, we now need to compare. If best scouting skill is greater than... we need a skill level here. Int skill level equals educator skills. Get skill name. Thank you. And that's going to return the integer. So that's going to return the experience level. So we're going to say best scouting skill experience level is greater than the current skill level. No, less than the current skill level. Then we're going to need to update. However, this is important. This needs to be an integer. I will explain why in just a second. There we go. Actually, we can No, we're already validating that. Sorry, give me a second. I'm thinking. So the reason why I was going to go with an integer there, because a primitive like this is a primitive version of an integer, cannot have a null value. And if you get a value from a map and that value does not exist in the map, it will return null. I forgot that I actually already protected against that up here. So this can never return null because we're protecting against that. We're checking, does this exist in the map first? So, but we can simplify it even better by doing this. I'm just going to rename some variables. So this will be current skill level. And it's going to become current skill name. Current skill. Just making it a little bit clearer what's happening here. And we are going to, I'm not a huge fan of doing chained conditionals, but I think in this case it makes sense. Actually, even then, let's be good. Let's make nice clear code. So Boolean no skill set. I prefer is no skill set. And we're going to have another Boolean is current skill better. And I'll show you how this makes things cleaner in just a secondo. That does mean we need to move this up, but that's okay. Because rather than having this chained conditional, which is something I'm not a fan of, we can just do this. And this is functionally, helps if I copy the right code. It is functionally identical to what was happening before, but is now just a lot easier to read. Because you come down here, you see, okay, we're sending the booleans, and then you get here and you're like, okay, is no skill set or is the current skill better? Do the thing. So let's just save. There we go. And now what we're going to do is just thinking, what is the best move here? I think probably the best move is get educator skills, then remove all. Can we remove all? We just have to do remove, apparently, and we're going to remove scouting skills. For string skill name. Now we might be able to move this into the other block. I'll be checking that in just a second. But for now, and I haven't forgotten your question, Deadboard. I will get to you in a second. Oh, that should be a string. Yeah, we can do this because we're only getting current skill names. We can add this here. It's yeah, clear from map. No, it's obvious what clear from map is doing. Okay, so here, this is where the magic happens. So what's happening here? Let's walk through the code, and then I'm going to answer Deadboard's question. So we're coming in. So we build up our map up here. This is going to populate all the educator skills. We then come down here, and then we go, okay. Let's rename that to current scouting skill. Okay. And current scouting level. There we go. So what's happening here? We're building a list of all skills, which is good. This list, or map rather, is going to include every scouting skill the educator has. However, as anybody who uses add scout knows, For Add Scout, only your best scouting skill matters. So there is absolutely no point in having 5 scouting skills trained if only one matters. So that means if an educator is training 5 different scouting skills, that is 4 scouting skill XP routes that are wasted effectively. So now we're just going to focus down on the best. So we build up a list of skills, which is going to include every scouting skill the educator has. Then we come down here and we're just going to sanitize it. So we're going to get every scouting skill that exists. We're going to check, does the educator have that skill? If it doesn't, we're going to go away. We don't care. We're going to move to the next one. But if it does, we're going to get its current level and we're going to check, have we got the best skill yet? And if we do, is the current skill better? So if we don't have a best skill yet, or the current skill is better, we're then going to go ahead and assign the best skill as the best skill. We do need to do one more little thingy doogie, but we'll do that in a second. So then what we do is after we've evaluated what is the best skill, we remove that skill, whether it's best or not, because we've passed through it. So we remove the skill that we just passed through from the map. And then down here, so at this point, we have removed every scouting skill. So at this point, if we have a best scouting skill, we just put it back. Now we can do a little bit of validation. If skill types get skill, I think it's actually just skill type. Yeah, get skill. Best scouting skill. If it's not, is it get type? Yeah, there we are. So I'll explain what we're doing after I finish doing it. There we go. Okay. Oh, I need to close that off. Whoopsie-doodles. So down here, if we have a scouting skill assigned, we're going to check, does this scouting skill exist? If it does, I'm going to put it back in the map. If it doesn't, I'm going to throw an error. I just didn't want to do that. I think we can actually do this. There we go. And the error is going to basically say, hey, we had a null pointer exception because there's no valid skill for best scout name. And this null pointer exception is going to be silent in that it's only going to post to the log. The player's not going to be aware because we don't want the player to be getting spammed with null pointers when this is being handled, but we do as developers need to know if we're hitting this. So if this skill type get skill name equals null, what that means is the skill doesn't exist. And if the skill doesn't exist, somehow we should never get here. But if it doesn't exist, we're just going to post a little message in the log saying, hey, developer, you need to investigate this. Psychatic says MekLab doesn't do the dumper piece of equipment right. I am not a MekLab developer. If you haven't already, open up an issue report. That's the best move. Okay, so back to Deadboard. I'm finally getting around to their question. Deadboard asks, how does the training skill impact training lancers? So I'm not going to say how it's going to work once we've done our rework here, but I can tell you how it currently works. How it currently works is each week the commander of the the training force, the commander only, even if the commander is in a multi-crew unit, only the commander will roll a training skill check. The better they roll, the more degrees of success they get. The more degrees of success they get, the more progress everybody who's being trained makes. So I think it's something like an extra point per degree of success. Actually, rather than guessing, how about we go and find out? So we're going to get educator skills, form training. Where is my commander skill check? Commander skills. Where's my? Okay, I can just do a skill check utility. There we go. Margin of success. Okay, returning raw. Margin of success. Passing that in here. Process training time. Jesus Christ, this is very bouncy. Oh, okay. So how it works is every margin of success the commander's training skill gets increases skill progress by 25%. Every degree of failure decreases skill progress by 25%. As for psychatics, they asked, does vehicle speed matter for salvage jobs? Indirectly, yes. Why do I say indirectly? So when it comes to specifically for the salvage operation, no, it does not matter whatsoever. It really don't matter. However, it is entirely possible that your salvage team gets intercepted on the way back to your base, at which point it absolutely matters, because that's going to dictate how likely you are to get your salvage units out of dodge. And if your salvage units do get attacked on the way back, there is a potential chance that they may not have any support, and you may be in a situation where you have to reinforce. So it is very, very possible that you may be in a scenario where your salvage teams have no support, and it is all down to just getting them off the board, similar to convoy interceptions. Okay, so where were we? We're up here. I don't like how this is all blocked together. So what we're going to do is, this needs to get moved up actually. So, because we want this to affect each educator. How? There we go. But we don't want to have to repeat all this. So, is skill modifier data being used elsewhere? It is not. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So in that case, if we're not doing skill modifier data, how are we? Oh, okay, we're not. It just says we're not ignoring. How does that work? Oh, okay. We only need to worry about that if we are doing something that's affected by reputation, which just isn't. Okay, so that's good. But so let's move this out. So first off, we're going to get profession skills for educator. Then our next one is going to be filter scouting skills for educator. And that just means we don't want massive blocks in the middle of our code. Now we also want to do a similar thing for infantry gunnery skills. So if we come down here, we're going to copy this code up. We are going to separate it again, but we're going to copy it here. So we still want no skill picked, and we're just going to replace scouting. What am I doing? I'm sorry. My brain's. I'm trying to think 2 steps ahead. Scouting for infantry gunnery. And I want to match. There we go. And this is going to break. That's okay. That's genuinely okay. So we want infantry gunnery skills. Okay. So it's going to tell us off that this is not right. But that's okay. We can actually leave that fine for now. So our next step is to break this out as well. So filter, infantry, gunnery, skills for educator. I'm just going to say, do we want to change it? Probably. Let's keep it original for now. That's probably fine. Okay, but we can actually break out some of this code even further. Is skill among educators. Skills. That needs to be redone. Actually, this will be fine. This will be fine. Because we're going to go ahead and reverse this. Jump down to the method. And we're just going to return. There we go. Okay, now down here, looks like we can filter out some other things. Interesting. Maybe we can extract this and update the method. Yeah, we can't. Okay, that's duplicated code, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. Down here, though, we can absolutely validate and add back educator aggregate skill, and we'll replace all. And give me a second. I want to go here and I want to rename some of these parameters to make them more generic. There we go. Feel like we can break this out though. No, we can't. We can't because we're getting this. But we can break this out. No, we can't. Okay, so it looks like we can't break out anymore. It's going to tell us this duplicate code, but that's okay. We don't mind a little bit of duplicate code. For salvage operations, it is worth remembering that mechs that have cargo capacity, for salvage operations specifically, is irrelevant. Salvage operations, according to campaign operations, and again, it's official rules. I don't like them, but they're official. The official rules state that mechs can only drag salvage. So no matter how much cargo capacity a mech has, for the purposes of salvage operations, it is wholly irrelevant. All that matters is that the mech has 2 working hand actuators and its tonnage. Okay, so we now got our educator skills and we've filtered them nicely. That's all very good. So this is now giving us the skills we actually want. That's good. So we're now actually going to push this. Actually, what we're going to do, we're going to write some documentation. Let us now for documentation. We're just going to go ahead and get Claude to do it for us. I won't be bringing up Claude, not because I'm ashamed of getting AI to write documentation for me, but because it has my real life name. And as always, anybody who's been around for a while will have seen this happen before. We are not getting Claude to write code for us. We're getting Claude to document for us. And why do we do that? We do it because it means we get a second pair of eyes on what the code actually does, and it helps identify bugs. If Claude is suddenly telling you nonsense, it could just be that Claude is telling you nonsense, but it could equally be that there is actually a bug. So everybody has opinions on AI. I don't really care what people's opinions are, outside of, I want people to be able to enjoy MekHQ. But there are legitimate reasons to use AI, and code review, and this is effectively a form of code review, is one of those uses. Again, none of this is affecting how the code actually runs. This isn't vibe coding. And we will be going through and double checking everything line by line, because you cannot trust AI. So right now I'm just neatening this up, and then we were going to go ahead and read through it all line by line in a minute. And I want to be clear about the project's use of AI. This is the kind of stuff that we do. We use AI to assist us in development. We do not use AI to develop for us. It's also the reason why our AI policy says only developers are allowed to use AI-assisted development. It's not because we want to... I'm not entirely sure where I was going with that, but it comes down to the fact that you need to have the expertise in the code base to know whether AI, if it's generating code for you, you need to have the experience in the code base to know, is this actually good, or is this going to break stuff? Because the AI definitely doesn't have that context. And so we restrict using AI. To be honest, I don't care if people use AI for documentation, but we explicitly restrict AI usage in code development to developers only, because we're not about to turn MekHQ into vibe coded trash. Why does that period not want to be on a new line? Yeah, whatever. And you might wonder, why am I... that's not going to be null. You might wonder, why am I always so defensive about AI? It's due to some bad experiences I had a few months ago. Filters the educator's current skill map so that only the single highest infantry gunnery skill is returned. Oh, well, too low. Yeah, okay, no, this is correct. Okay, removing all others. Yes, that is correct. Actually, let's do infantry first, just so the flow of code is correct. Iterates all over infantry gunning skills, yada yada. Tracking the skill with the greatest experience level, correct. All infantry gunning skills are removed from educator skills during iteration. The best one is then re-added via correct. Okay, so that is correct. Validates a candidate aggregate skill name, and if the value, inserts it back into the educated skill map at a given experience level. Validation perform a check in the skill type get type string, returns a non-null result for best skill name. If validation fails, an error is logged and the skill is not added. That is all correct. Returns true if the given skill name is present as a key in the educated skill map. That is correct. Filters the educator's current skill map so that only the single highest scouting skill is retained, removing all others. Correct. Iterates all over blah 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 blah. Yeah, that is all correct. Do we have any more? We do. Apparently I missed that in the prompt. Whoops-a-doodles. There you go. Gonna read chat. Radar says this isn't vibe coding, it's just IllianiDev not wanting to write documentation. And Radar comments that there was a terrible hit piece. Yeah, You know, it was definitely done in bad faith. Going back to me not writing documentation, so the joke is, and it is a joke, the joke is that I don't like writing documentation. That's not true. I will make that joke, and the joke, it is a joke. It chiefly comes down, and the other joke I make is that AI writes their documentation to me. That's not, again, strictly true. But it comes down to, I use it as kind of... I use it as kind of like a mini code review. I want the AI to tell me, what does this code do? Because then I can read through it and go, oh, this code isn't doing what I want it to do. Or, oh, this code does look like it's doing what it needs to do. Awesome, we don't need to worry. So it's not something every developer does, but for me, I just use it as an extra layer of code review, because there is no such thing as a safe change. Anybody can and will make mistakes. And so the more code review we can get, especially for me, and I'll get into why in a second, but the more code reviews we can get, the better. Why do I say especially me? Am I particularly bad? I'm no better or worse than anybody else on the team. It's purely and simply because of the amount of code that I push. So if you have a bug, it's most likely going to be something that I've pushed. Not because I don't push good code, I certainly think I do, but because I push so much code that 99% of the systems you're interacting with come from me. Deadboard says, are there any plans to update or overhaul the convoy system? I cannot talk about that. Make of that response what you will. Hey Illy, would it be possible to force a skill spawn and character generation from the back end? So what Psychatic's saying is that the company generator often generates absolutely trash tier characters. I am very aware of that. I announced I think it might have been the same day, if not the next day after the launch of 51, the current company generator is now deprecated. There will be no changes, fixes, or improvements made in the future. It's the only time that the company generator is going to be adjusted is when it's time to completely delete it. There is a replacement company generator that is being developed with a mind towards all of the feedback that we've had over the years from the current company generator. It is Hammer that is heading that up, with assistance from Alitair, our GUI wizard, UI wizard, and also me for code reviews. So it's got, three high level, I guess you could say, developers involved in it, and it is intended to completely replace the current company generator. And then once we're happy with the new company generator, that we're like, okay, no, this is good, this works, there's no more major problems, then the old company generator will be deleted, and that is the only editing that will happen to the old company generator. Company Generator 2, exactly. We might even call it Company Generator 2C, because I do like adding 2C onto the end of things. There we go. So this is our first improvement to training combat teams, but not our last today. Psychatic is that after the contract overhaul? And then you missed part of that. Can I repeat it? Yeah, I can repeat myself. So current company generator is being deleted. We don't have a timeline for when it's being deleted, but it is no longer receiving updates or improvements. It is officially deprecated as of 51.0. If you don't know what deprecation means, check out the MekHQ glossary. It explains it in there under the deprecation entry. So it is being completely removed with no timeline for its removal. It is being replaced by Company Generator 2. Company Generator 2 is being headed up by Hammer, with Alitair on UI and me on code reviews. Psychatic says, is that after the contract overhaul? No. So the reason why I'm only involved with Company Generator 2 in code review capacity is because it is not my project. This is Hammer's project with Alitair. I am there to support and to provide the necessary MekHQ knowledge context, but it is not my project, which means it is being developed concurrently with new contracts. I actually suspect, but do not know, because again, this is not my project, so I don't know the exact deadlines, but I would expect you will see Company Generator 2, if not in 51.01, then probably 51.02. It is progressing very quickly. But again, this is not my project, so I cannot give you a firm. This is my estimate as a player of MekHQ who happens to know behind the scenes what's happening. But again, it could be as early as 51.0. 51.01. I'm guesstimating 51.01 or 51.02, but the old company generator will not be removed then. We will not be removing the old company generator until we are fully happy that the new company generator is working and is a solid replacement. Similar to how right now you can still access the old personnel markets, even though new personnel market is the default. Training combat teams had a gross way of handling aggregate skill types such as infantry, gunnery skills, and scouting skills. If the educators for a formation had multiple scouting skills, or IGSs, because I want to have to keep writing infantry gunning skills, IGS. I am not going to abbreviate scouting skills as SS. I think I'll skip on that one for obvious reasons. The educators for a formation have multiple scouting skills or infantry gunnery skills. The formation would attempt to educate all. This is a bad process, as it resulted in a lot of wasted training, as only the highest scouting skill or infantry gunnery skill matters. Now, only the highest scouting skill or IGS will be trained. Educator. This does mean that multiple educators, each with a different best scouting skill, will still, or IGS, train multiple scouting or IGS skills. That is not a bug. It represents each educator bringing their personal skill set. As training formations are not formalized training, but ad hoc on the job training. They do not have a formal curriculum. There we go. Psychatic says, I noticed there is an auto run company generator option in the campaign options save menu. Hopefully that game's implemented. Hopefully, the developer who did the original company generator left a lot of unfinished stuff. It's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit grumpy about the company generator and why I've always been quite vocal about not liking it. There is a lot of unfinished features. Psychotic asks, is Illiani, me, I am Illiani, is Illiani in the southern part of the US? I am, yes. Though I am about to move to a state, still a southern state, but a state that does have better trans protections. So I am looking forward to that, because my current state, I'm not going to say which one, but my current state has basically no trans protections. And being a trans woman, if you're new and haven't heard that before, it's true. But being a trans woman in a state with no trans protections is rough. So Radar says anywhere but Tennessee. Again, I'm not going to say which state. Just because I'd rather not dox myself. Sacred Dog says, to be fair, a lot of the South isn't great for that in general. A lot of the US in general isn't great for that. Especially right now. We do try to keep politics out of these streams. So all I will say on the matter, and then we'll close the conversation, is that being trans in America right now is rough. It is very rough. But again, we try to keep politics out of these streams for everybody. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so we fixed aggregate skills. Our next step is to actually fix the core mechanics of training combat skills. So, here we are again. I realized while I was typing all of that up, I completely forgot to switch over to Safari. Sorry about that. But we're back, so it's okay. So our next step is to actually work on the process of training. So here's the training skill check, which will give us our margin of success. That's good. That all works fine. So really it's going to come down to process training time. Hum diddly dum dum. How do we want to do this? How do I want to do this? Do I have any comments on what the target duration is? This method is to me some job or people training for Honestly, fuck it. What we are gonna do is we are going to say margin of success. So XP gained baseline. It's going to be 1. Okay, and success multiplier is going to be removed. And we're going to do margin of success, and the training value is not going to be week duration. Training XP. It is going to be basically 1 times margin of success. And we're making this constant because it means we can update it later if we want. The lowest skill is improved first. Good. The last one is to count for the next skill targeting. Yep, that's good. Reasoning multipliers, all this good stuff. Current training time is our current force education time. We no longer need this. What we need instead is current XP. Current skill progress. And that's going to be an integer. We are also going to need skill target, no, skill required XP. Okay, so target skill. This is easy. Get progress. And then we need cost to level. Get cost to improve. Okay, that's all good. That's what we need. Adjusted required XP equals skill required XP minus current skill progress no, let's go with change XP progress, the delta of 1. No, start again with training XP. So training XP, it's going to be our delta. Then we're going to get current skill progress, which is going to be get XP. If adjusted required XP is less than or equal 0, we're actually going to go in and set progress. So target skill set change XP progress. I'm going to just put 0 here for a second. Because I want to actually go back here and have a direct setter. So we have a getter, but we don't have a setter. We're going to call this direct final int XP progress. Yeah, this is fine. I'm just verifying my process. This blah 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 equals blah blah blah. IntelliJ! One moment, IntelliJ is having a time. Fuck it. So IntelliJ keeps crashing, so we're just going to go ahead and kill IntelliJ. Because it is locked up. Oh, it appears my whole computer is locked up. So let me just go to force quit. We have been having so many problems with IntelliJ recently. So apologies for the void. We'll be back in just a second. We're just going to get some... IntelliJ, why are you complaining? I can tell. Don't care. So who wants to hear some behind-the-scenes drama? Who wants to hear some IntelliJ drama? So IntelliJ, or JetBrains really, has a process where they give you free licenses if you are a open source primary contributor. Okay, so if you are heavily involved in an open source project, JetBrains, who produce IntelliJ, say, hey, we're going to give you free licenses because we support open source projects. Okay, and they did. They gave us a whole bunch of free licenses. Then last year, they were like, no, you're not important enough to have the free licenses. So they took them away. Then they changed their mind and gave them back to us once they realized who we were, and that we are one of the largest and one of the oldest Java projects that is still running in open source. Then fast forward to this year, and this time they've taken it away from us, and they said, no, we're only supporting important open source projects. Like, fuck you, but okay. And they were like, but what we will do is we'll give you 40% off coupons. We'll give you 40% off coupons, so you'll still have to pay us, but you only have to pay us $160 per year each. You won't have to pay us $200 per year each. So we're like, well, that sucks, but this wouldn't be the first time one of us has had to pay for a license. So it sucks. $160 in this economy is a lot of money, but we'll do it because we love the project. And we'll take the coupon because $40 off is $40 off. That's a good chunk of cash. They sent us one coupon, and it wasn't reusable. So one of us got a discount. We had to badger them. I say we. Hammer had to badger them incessantly for them to eventually give us enough 40% off coupons for the team. And this is after we have been pushing IntelliJ as the primary development program in MekHQ, MegaMek in general. For years, we've stood by IntelliJ. We've been encouraging everybody who contributes to use IntelliJ, and then they're like, "No, you're not important. You're just a silly little mech game. Here's a coupon, one coupon. Now give us $160, or well, one of you can give us $160. The rest of you can give us $200 a year. By the way." So yeah, I don't know how politically appropriate it is for me to rant about JetBrains here, but no, right now I'm very grumpy at JetBrains. Because yeah, sure, we are just a silly little mech game, but we are also one of the largest open source Java projects still around. And yeah. So that's the IntelliJ drama. Largest and one of the oldest, yeah, exactly. But that's fine. And this is a lesson in why you should never be loyal to a corporation. Because corporations are not loyal to you, they're loyal to whatever will get them the most money. And if I do some quick hatchet math, we've probably got about 10 people doing active development, if not a little bit more, on MegaMek right now. We'll say 10 for the sake of easy math. That means across the entire development team to continue developing effectively for MekHQ and MegaMek and MegaMek Lab, we are having to source north of $1.2 thousand. And we will do that because we love the project and because we want to continue developing it and we want to continue using the tools that we've been using for years. But that is still a lot of money for an open source project run by volunteers. But yeah, so that's my little JetBrains rant. We will continue still using JetBrains because it is the best development environment for Java. But yeah, that's my little JetBrains rant. I've got that off my shoulders. I can be back to being happy Illiani again and stop being grumpy pants Illiani. So where were we? Where were we? Well, the good news is that we're back in IntelliJ. The bad news is that it's wiped all of our work. So let's see if local history got preserved. Did you get preserved? No, you didn't. Yay! So we're back to where we were. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I don't mind losing work. We only lost a couple of minutes, so it's not that bad. It's rewind time. Exactly. Okay. So we're performing training here. Then we're passing down to process training time. Okay, what do we want to do here? Well, first off, we want XP rate baseline again. And we're gonna start with 1 XP. I might make this a campaign option. So if you want faster training, you can. And we're just gonna go ahead and get rid of this. If skill being trained is empty, we're just gonna return. That's fine. We got margin of success. We're gonna change that. No, that's margin of success. So final int actual XP progress is XP rate multiplied by margin of success. So if you get free margin of success, that the character is getting free XP that week. Now our next objective is cost to improve. Cost to improve equals skill. Where are we? Where is skill being taught? Target skill. There we go. Target skill. Get cost to improve. We need the education multiplier. I feel like there's more. Here, give me a second. This is something that I use a lot. This particular, yeah, because I feel like we're missing some steps here. Give me a second. Where's our skills? Oh god, give me a moment. I'm fumbling in the UI. So this is a string that I add before every instance where we have this. So let's have a look at skills. That's floors. What about fast learner? Fast learner. We need to factor in fast learner. Here we go. Okay, we're doing it the wrong way. We're doing it the wrong way. So what we actually need to do is cost to improve. Person get cost to improve. Trainee. And cost to improve is going to be skill name. Well, that's easy enough. Target skill. And use reasoning. Oh, actually, let's change that to a string. No? Okay, we need to do it like this. To string, there we go. That should work. Okay, so we've got the target skill, the cost to improve. Does that include XP progress? It does not. Okay. That is fine. So now we need to get the partial progress. So int partial progress equals target skill. Bugger off. Get XP. Okay, so we know how much it costs to improve. We know our partial progress. Now we need actual cost to improve. Actual cost to improve. And that needs to be a maximum of 0 or the actual cost to improve. Because we don't want a negative. That's important. Okay, then we need to check if actual cost to improve is equal or less than 0, we are now progressing. So first things first, partial progress needs to be negative by cost to improve. So we're reducing any partial progress, but we're not wiping it out. It's very important we don't wipe it out, because otherwise we are we're going to be in a situation where players are losing progress. So we are now at this point successfully training a skill. So change combat force train time. We don't care about that. Target level. Okay, we need to fetch target skill level. Where's that being defined? Target skill level. Excellent, excellent. Ooh. We can actually we're going to overload this because final int skill level increase. And we are actually essentially we're not going to make an overload. Well, we are making an overload, but we're having it work slightly differently. So skill gets skill type, and then cost is going to be target skill level. There we go. Skill name, use reasoning, target skill level. And that is correct. Okay, so this is going to now allow us to basically do the same thing as what we were doing previously, but now we are able to input a target skill level. Okay, partial progress, cost to improve. The actual progress, if we are actually improving. Partial progress, so it actually needs to, rather than partial progress, we need to do something a little bit different. Give me a second. Target skill, change XP progress, cost to improve. Now, while we're trundling our way through this, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you want to have more dev streams, if you want to watch us play Xenonauts 2, or even better, MekHQ, give us a follow. Hit the old follow button. If you're on YouTube, you can do the old subscribe, the bell, all the YouTube things. We go live 5 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday daytime. You're in the daytime right now, at least where I am. And then Friday evenings is the ongoing MekHQ campaign starring the Scrotorious Bastards, a Rasselhaig house unit that is currently just 5 years away from the clan invasion. Okay. So where, oh where? Target skills get first. We need to include this. This is actually important. What we're actually not doing, we need to help so we actually apply the XP that's been learned. Let's rename this to base cost to improve. Base cost to improve. And then we're actually going to do actual XP cost. We're just going to make this a little bit cleaner. There we go. Okay, that's all done. We do need to sort the skills. That's good. I'm going to wrap this in an else, just because I want to make sure that it's clear that this is an extra step. Okay, then we come down here. We're going to get the target skill. We are going to account for. We're going to pick the next skill level. We are going to do the all XP shenanigans. If we are improving, we're going to reduce our XP progress by base cost to improve. We're going to set the level. No, we're not. We are going to improve. Skill name. Let's populate this up here. Skill name equals target skill. Do we not have a direct get name? We don't. Okay, whatever. Okay, we're going to improve it. Improve skill. Yeah, that's all good. So now I'm just going to filter down. There's some other steps I want to do, but I'm just making sure we haven't missed anything important from the old stuff. Doesn't look like it. But there is one thing. What is this training multiplier that we're not using anymore? XP multiplier. Where are you being defined? Oh, okay. Let us add that in. So we're going to call that XP cost multiplier because we want that. So actual progress is going to equal XP baseline multiplied by margin, and then multiply that by our margin of success. And then we're going to round it, normaler. And then we need to cast that to an integer. No, that's not going to work. What we actually need to do is a max of 1 and round that, because I don't care how bad someone is. If the margin of success isn't 0, yeah, so add that in. So if the skill is being trained or the margin of success is 0, we're just going to return a blank string. Because if you've got 0 or less margin success, you haven't paid. I see Tiris has continued the gift sub they got from Heckendog. Thank you very much, Tiris. I really appreciate you. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. This whole method, you can't see me gesturing at my screen, but this whole method, wiggle, 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 is just, it just doesn't feel nice. There's a lot going on here and it's not very separated, I should say, really. Let me check how margins of success are actually working. Margin of success. Skill check utility. There we go. So if a skill check was failed, so if the skill check has failed, or Boolean is nothing being trained, yeah, this whole method absolutely needs to be cleaned up. But that's okay, that's what we're here for. There we go, that's nice and neat. So if the skill check's been failed or nothing is being trained, we're just going to return an empty string. Otherwise, we need to sort the skills being trained based on the level of the skill. And then we come down here, target skill, skill name, target skill level, +1, good. Actual XP progress is going to be Yep. Okay, so it's base XP rate times XP cost multiplier. So if you have 50% XP costs, it's going to be not good. God damn it. Int double adjusted XP cost multiplier equals 1.0 plus XP cost multiplier. There we go. Otherwise, you're actually, the higher you have the XP discount, the more you're going to pay. So, there is so much going on here. Including everything there. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay. Tira says, this system getting a bit of a refactor was also nice vis-a-vis off-contract training eventually, hopefully. Yeah, potentially. Honestly, probably. We can probably wrangle that. Actually, it's a very good point, Tira. So I might be able to wrangle that into this. Okay, so this is all, we are absolutely breaking some of these methods out, but this all looks good. Target skill, skill name, target skill level, good. Just XP modifier is 1 plus the actual cost modifier. Let's just double check we're not already adding anything like that. Cost multiplier, we are not. So XP baseline, but multiplied by the XP cost multiplier, which is the campaign operations options rather one. So whether it's like 50% rate or whatever. Then we want to multiply that rounded result by margin of success. Then we need to max it so that you're always making at least one training. If you have successfully passed your training check, the people under your trainees will always make 1 XP a week minimum. So you're not going to get negative XP, and you're not going to be in a situation where you don't make any progress unless you fail the training check. Base cost to improve is base cost to improve with all your good modifiers. Base cost to improve is then the actual progress. And partial progress, and its cost to improve is base cost progress minus partial progress. Actually, let's move this out of here. And we're actually going to do... we need to do that in this step. Base cost to improve equals int round base cost to improve multiplied by XP cost multiplier. And this is just going to make it a little bit cleaner. And we're not going to have to do weird things like adding 1.0s and stuff. So base cost to improve is cost to improve with all the goodies, rounded by the global XP multiplier, plus the actual progress has already been attained. No. This is wrong. Okay, let's get the base cost to improve. So we've got the target skill. We've got the base cost to improve. Then we're going to work out what is our actual progress. Our actual progress is XP rate, baseline multiplied by margin of success. We won't have a negative margin of success because we're already filtering that out. So XP progress is base rate multiplied by margin of success. We need to do a max one here though. Max. Because if you have 0 margin of success, we don't want you to suddenly get 0 XP. Then all we need to do is target skill, get XP progress. And then that's giving us our actual XP progress. Person change trainee. You might actually see me do some unit tests for this actually. Change target skill, change XP progress. There we go. That's what we're looking for. And then we're overwriting actual XP progress. No, let's make a new one. Final XP progress. There we are. That whole mess is dealt with. Okay, now we're going down here so we know that we're improving because the cost to improve is 0 after being adjusted. So we improve it, change XP progress. That's being done. Yes, as we change XP progress, so we're wiping the XP progress by base cost to improve. By actual cost to improve. Oh, God damn it! This is so fucking complex. Okay, final XP progress is that actual cost to improve. We base to improve minus the existing XP progress. So the XP progress should be reduced by... Oh, okay, no. Where is the actual cost to improve? Target skill level. Cost to improve. Base cost to improve. Yeah, no, this is right. Yeah, no, that is right. Because we can't just set it to 0 in case the player ends up with more XP than they actually require. Okay, so then we improve the skill. Hooray! Then we are getting skill modifier data to find out the final skill level. Skill value, okay. Do we have... Okay, so improve skill doesn't trigger anything. What about person? Okay. So what we actually need to do is trainee, spend XP on skills, which unfortunately means I need to have campaign, which I'll do in a second. What do I need to campaign for this? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff, okay. Okay, so the reason why we need to pass campaign in here is otherwise veterancy awards won't trigger. And right now, you can't get a veterancy award from training, but we want to make sure that... Actually, we can just do this. That'd be easier. We need to basically future-proofing ourselves. PS359 says, and just got here, looks like you're working on something to do with skilling up training. Yeah, so we're updating how training formations work. I kind of feel like we can make some improvements there. So we're going to. Okay, so we're logging the improved skill. We're then putting out our little notification. Why are we doing it like this instead of... Okay, so this is immediately getting updated. Okay, because we're here, so we might as well update how we're fetching strings, because we're currently using the old system. Tiris is correct. That's in their summary. That gives us, so this is our reporting. This posts a log to the skill report, the daily log rather. This then posts another one. Oh, this is the personnel log, and then this is the daily report log. What I need to verify is where we're filtering out skills, because right now we're not. we're doing it here. Okay. We might be done here. I'm gonna nip AFK very quickly to get some more water. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I see while I was away that PS359 says, so what happens if the training XP is enough to pump the skill up by 1 level? So we actually have a system already implemented that tracks partial XP. So if you have a skill that costs 20 XP, I keep using this example because the math is nice, and you have 5 XP partially spent on it, leveling up that skill will only cost 15 XP. So again, using 20 as an example, if training gives 1 XP a week, as an example, 1 XP a week, it will take 20 weeks to level up that skill, or you could spend 10 weeks to level up the skill halfway and then spend 10 XP. And the good thing here is if you are using Quick Train, and Quick Train will factor in the partial XP automatically. So if you have a character spend 10 weeks in a training formation, again, using the example of 1 XP a week. If you have a character that's 10 XP from training, and they happen to have 12 XP, when you click Quick Train on that character, they will automatically account for the in-progress XP and then get a level up. So this system it much better fits into existing systems than the old weird training point system we used to have. But this is all very, very complex. So let's go ahead and break this down. So first off, we are going to get rid of this conditional. I have a better approach here. So is training possible? Now, IntelliJ has made it a string, but we're actually going to convert it into a Boolean. It's going to return an empty string. So, is training possible? Peshao. And it is going to be a Boolean, and it is not going to be nullable. So if the skill check has failed, or nothing's being trained, we're just going to return false. We can make it even simpler. We can just return this. Return. Oh god, my pesky fingers. There we go. So if training is impossible, we're just going to return an empty string. Don't think I need that anymore. I saw some nulls there. What's that in relation to? Give me a second. I'm just rewinding time, so I think I might have accidentally deleted something I didn't mean to. I did not. Cool. Tiris asks, I wonder if there's an application or for partial attribute increase training somewhere. Potentially. The thing is, so attribute costs are crap. Okay? So I'm not going to tell you that the attribute costs are good. They're pretty crap. But the thing is, once you get to high attributes, it becomes very, very broken. Because it can be really, really broken. So I have to be very careful there. Sort skills lowest level to highest. There we go. So we don't need to worry about that comment anymore. So we're coming in, we're checking, is training impossible? No? Fantastic. Sort all the skills lowest level to highest, because the lowest skill gets trained first. Then we're going to need to get some useful data, like target skill, skill name, which you can see we're using that in a few different places, target skill level, we're using that in a few different places. Then we need to get the base cost to improve. So rather than having this here, I'm just going to break this out. And I'm just going to have get base cost to improve. Okay, are we... Yeah, okay, I was just double checking we're not using this value anywhere else. We're only using this value. Okay, cool. So that is get funnel XP progress. Yeah, that checks out. Then we want to get the actual cost to improve. Okay. And let's add a boolean. Was training completed equals its actual cost to remove equals 0. So there is no more XP required. And then we just pass that in. Shazam. So it doesn't look like we're using this anywhere either. So let's go ahead and break this out. So now we're coming in. Is training impossible? Sort the skills. Get some useful utility variables that we're going to use in a few different places. Base cost to improve. Final XP progress. Confirm. Was training completed? If training was completed, we are then just checking to see if there's anything else I can break out. There isn't. We are then going to come down to here. So first things first, we need to change the XP progress. We need to improve the skill, and we need to process veterancy awards. So just going to call this improve skill. Then we're going to do personnel log, final by daily report message. Just so people are, like anybody coming in here is super clear on what is being said. And then we're just going to else. The reason why we're doing an else here is it's not strictly necessary, but it makes it slightly cleaner. And we're going to come back up here. I'm going to break this out as well. Process completed training. Is that going to auto-complete? It's not. Fantastic. Okay. Because I don't want this really on multiple lines like that because it makes it less clear. Okay, so is training impossible? Sort the skills lowest to highest. Get your utility variables. Get base cost to improve. Get final XP progress. Confirm was training completed. If training was completed, return the return value of process completed training, which is going to be your daily report message, or return nothing. Hey, the entire population of Mars. They ask how I toppled any load-bearing notes. Not quite. We are right now, we're updating how training works. Okay, so let's go back and we're just going to update some of our little utility methods. What I'm wondering is the base XP rate, are we only using it in the one place? That is potential. So let's jump back up. Are we using base XP rate anywhere else? We are not. Fan-fiddly-tastic, because that means we can take this out as a parameter and just have it a constant in final XP progress. Okay. So that is a whole bunch of stuff that we've broken out, and I know these notes are no longer correct, so we're going to head over to Claude. We're going to ask Claude to document it for us so that we can read through the notes that that Claude gives us, so we can make sure that our code is working as we expect. And then we're probably going to write some unit tests because this is getting really complicated. Hey, Feisman, thank you for joining us. And yes, AutoMod caught your greeting. Wow, Feisman has a 20 stream streak. I didn't even know I've done 20 streams. Kira says that's impressive. I agree. It's very impressive. Feisman, if you've just joined us, we are working on updating how training formations work so they're less dumb. Okay. So I've got my notes from Claude. So let's head back to here, and we're just going to go ahead and paste them in. And we're going to read. Oh god, that did not work. That assuredly did not work. Let's do that again. Oh god. And if anyone's curious, no, this isn't Claude's mistake. This is entirely me. I missed the last line of the documentation when I copied it over. Whoopsie doodles. Let's head back to IntelliJ. There we go. Okay, so we're going to want to go over this line by line. Process a single training session between an educator and a trainee, determining whether the trainee's lowest level skill advances to the next level based on XP progress earned. Correct. Returns early with an empty string if training is impossible. Skill check not cleared above barely made it or no skills queued. Correct. We can link this though. Where is? Who wants to remember where that lives? Barely made it lives in margin of success. There we go. Okay, or no skills queued. Sorts skills being trained, ascending by level, and targets the lowest level skill for improvement. Correct. Calculates the base XP cost to reach the next level of the target skill, applying cost multiplier and optional reasoning-based adjustments. Also correct. Applies XP progress to the target skill scale by margin of success minimum of 1. Correct. Then checks whether the accumulated progress meets or exceeds the cost to improve. Also correct. If the cost is fully covered, delegates to apply the improvement and return a formatted report message. Correct. If the cost is not yet met, XP progress is retained on the skill for future sessions and an empty string is returned. Correct. Note, skill being trained is sorted in place. XP progress is always applied to the target skill regardless of whether the improvement threshold is reached, so partial progress persists between calls. Also correct. Yeah, that's correct. I'm just skim reading these ones, not as important. We do, however, want to correctly link this. Links basically means that a developer can click on it and it'll take them straight to where in the code it lives. Whether to reply, okay, this is correct. This is all good. A formatted report message announcing a skill improvement if the target skill advanced with this session. An empty string if training was impossible or XP gain was insufficient to complete the improvement. Let's just change that enough. There we go. Okay, so this is all correct. This is all good. Okie dokie, pokey dokie. What's next in the agenda? Complete. Okay, so now I need to. Finalizes a completed training session by applying the skill improvement, logging the change to personnel record if requested, and returning a formatted daily report message. Correct. Improve Scala. Applies a skill improvement to the trainee by decrementing skills XP progress by the base cost, advancing the skill level and triggering any veterancy award processing. Good. That is all correct. Determines whether a skill training session resulted in a completed skill improvement. Put that T back. Training is considered complete when the remaining XP costs are blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all good. So what we're doing here is we are double checking that all our assumptions that our code is working are being expressed in Claude's notes. That's all correct. Because if Claude is telling us the method is doing something than what we expect, then it could be Claude hallucinating. But it could also potentially be us having made a mistake. And so, we verify. We're checking not just Claude's work, but our own. Because Claude hasn't written any of this code. Claude is just documenting. And that's generally how I prefer to use AI. I use it to assist me. I am a developer. I love developing. I don't really enjoy just asking the computer to spit out some code. It doesn't mean it's not necessarily not useful, but I'm here to develop, and so I will develop. Okay, that's all that done. Let's add some signatures. Author moi since 51.0. There we go. And we just plonk these in all the others. There we go. Plonk. 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 Und plonk. Et. Plonk. Und additional plonk. There. Okay. Alrighty then. God damn it. Why is auto formatter being gross? Come on, auto formatter. You can do it. I believe in you. There we are. Okay, I think this is all good now. However, we are doing a lot. Now, one of the things I am noticing is that we did have the wrong fetcher. So let's go ahead and start figuring out why on earth do we use this old fetcher when we could use sexy new fetcher. Yeah, I was just double checking that the formatter is correct. It certainly is. We'll come back and fix these placeholders in a second. Our first priority is plonking. And then getting rid of the closing brackets. Yay! Brackets! It's interesting though, because this code would have been done after we moved away from resources get skill. So I am interested in why I made the decision to not use the new system. We will never know. My guess is so during the 51.0 cycle, we fixed a bug in how reporting was worked. My guess is that I couldn't get it to work and didn't realize it was a bug. That's my guess. Okay, so we've got a learning started here. But we're never actually using it anywhere, so that can go away. Shoo shoo. Okay, I believe we're going to need to escape that. Okay, so that should all be good now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to commit this, but there is more work to be done. First off, I want to do some. Oh, apparently my cat's upset. I want to do some unit tests. Okay, so that updates that. I guess we could call this system progressive training. Yeah, I'll get it. I'm very funny. So what do we want to do? We want unit tests. When do we want them? Ugh, now I guess. Generate. Give me a unit test. Give me a test. There we go. I think this is the first time I've actually delivered unit tests on camera. PSP59 says, what do we want? We don't know. When do we want it? Okay, so one of the reasons why we broke out all these methods is we're not going to necessarily test this controller. We're actually going to test the little processors. Okay, so first we need to test Quest. Improve skill. No veterancy award. And then we're also going to want to test improve skill. Yes, veterancy award. PS359 says, was a joke among software engineers regarding customers. It is. Yeah, no, that was where my brain went. Yes. So first up, we need to have a campaign. So we're going to have private campaign equals not new campaign. Then we want a before each. Before each campaign equals test campaign. Get test campaign. MekHQ test utilities. Get test campaign. There we go. Okay, so that gives us the test campaign. We need campaign options, most likely. Almost certainly. We'll deal with that in a second. We also need a person object. So private trainee, a person trainee. Import. Person equals new person. And then we need to add the trainee to the campaign. Campaign import person trainee. Okay, so that's going to give us a campaign with a single character in it called trainee. So we want to do training combat teams, and then we want to improve skill. We have to pass campaign into that. Then we have to pass trainee. We're going to have the target skill is going to be skill type. Gunnery mech. Which means you need to actually initialize that. So skill, gunnery, mech. Means you need to give the trainee the skill. Add skill. Gunnery mech. Forget what these are. We'll find out in a second. Skill. I can do this easier. There is an easy way. I think this will add it with some, yeah, level and bonus. There we go. Okay. So this adds us a skill at level 0. Good, good. But it means we need, okay, we need to go trainee, skill equals trainee, get skill. Okay, I will walk you all through this once I am in a position to actually have something to show you. Tests are all about constructing a situation to simulate a real situation. And base cost to improve is going to be 5. Okay, so we then improve the skill, which is good. So okay, so let's let me walk through this. So first of all, we have a Tira says, I just realized that a partial XP spend is also exactly how a TOE character generation bonus for XP works. Exactly. So the Advanced Character Builder, which is a project that will be coming to MekHQ by the end of next year, is a Time of War inspired character generation. Partial XP progress was implemented as prep work for the Advanced Character Builder. So, what are we doing here? First up, we are coming in with your campaign. Actually, we can do this better. Give me a second. Oh, my other cat, Grumpy Von Grumbleguts, is shouting. Not entirely sure what she's shouting about. Okay, there we go. So, first of all, we have a before each. A before each, as the name might suggest, runs before each test. Hi, CM Peterson. Glad you could join us. We're currently in the process of overhauling training combat formations. So you got your before each. This setup is going to run before every test. So we're going to create a new campaign instance. We're going to create a new person called trainee. We're going to add them to the campaign. We're going to give them the skill Gunnery Mech at level 0 with no bonus. And then we're going to assign this skill up here as the skill we just added. Now right now we're testing 2 clauses. We're testing the improved skill method over here. And then we're testing two instances. One where no veterancy award is awarded, and one where a veterancy award is awarded. We're also going to test other things, but that's what we're testing right now. So, to do that, we need to int target skill level. It's going to be Gunnery Mech. Let's step back. Let's step back. We're actually going to test some different clauses first, because testing veteran is going to be a chunk. Peterson says, pleasantly surprised when I got home from work, there was a dev stream. Yeah, so there's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to go into the story details. Basically, we've got some plans that make it awkward for me to vanish from the project, like, right now. So I'm staying on until those plans come into fruition, and then I'll be going on my break. Okay, so we're going to check progress changed. So we've got base cost to improve, and we've got current XP progress, and we're going to set that as set. Oh, actually, we need to do change XP progress, and we're going to change that with a delta of 10. Okay, and then we're going to run improve skill. And what we want to do is check. So we've got int new XP progress equals MegaMek get XP progress. And then we also need expected. Int expected XP progress is going to be starting XP progress 10. Again, I'll explain all of this once I'm at a position where I can start explaining it. I always put these the wrong way around. Expected comes first. Okay, so here's a test, and what we're testing here is that the progress XP is changed when the improve skill method runs. So we have a test comes into 3 stages. You have setup, you have action, and then you have results. So the setup here is that we are having a starting XP progress for the MegaMek skill of 10. The MegaMek skill is going to cost 5 points to improve. And then what we want to test is, does the expected XP progress, which is starting of 10 minus cost to improve, which is 5, equal our actual new XP progress? So that's going to be our first test. So we are going to have to do a legal statement first, because if we don't do the legal statement, it will fail the test. So just go in there, 2026, off we go. Just jump back onto there. There we go. Okay, so let's run the test and see what happens. Okay, just wait for the test to initialize and then run. And for anybody wondering, we will be doing dev streams on our usual dev time on the 4 days that we do dev streams this week. That'll be as normal, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And of course, Scrotorious Bastards Friday evening. We will be doing Xenonauts 2, just not until I'm in a position where I can step away from the project. That may well be. I might wait to do Xenonauts 2 until I move house. And do then. I am going to be setting up a Discord for you all as well, so that you guys can I can actually hear you when new streams go live, so you don't have to be zoned in on your emails at all times. Unfortunately, the downside to tests is it has to instantiate a lot, so you have to kind of just wait. I'm actually going to change this to oh, okay, it's running. It's running. What's the moment of truth? Did it work? It did not. Okay, so what's the problem here? Because we haven't got skills lookup hash. Oh god, I have to remember how to do this now. So basically what it's saying is that the skills haven't initialized, and I need to go to our test values and just remind myself how exactly I do that, because I cannot remember. Initialize types, there we go. Nice. So we're doing it before all, which means we're only going to do this once. So whereas a before each runs every time, and before all will only run before all, as you might suggest. There we go. So this is going to run, and then before each test, this chunk runs. So now if we run it, we should have all the skill types. Diddly dum dum. But we also want to improve this. So progress changed. Some XP. Progress remained. Okay, and we're also going to make another test. Kazam. No XP progress. So we can see the test runs successfully. So this is good now. We're in a good mark. So now we need to do no XP progress ends. So we're just going to go bam, take that down to 5. This is going to whine at us, but that's okay. One second, I'm getting a text message. Okay, I have just received message from my wife's parents that they have in fact not been home all day and didn't bother telling me that they were going out, which means their dogs have not been taken out all day. So we're going to get this next test done, and then I'm going to hop away. I'll be gone for about 10 minutes because I need to take all the doggies out. Normally I do that before the stream, but nobody bloody told me that I needed to do that. And the truck is still in the driveway, so I had no idea they left. Okay. Grumble. Okay, let me just go and quickly do that before and clean up any messes. I'll be gone for about 10 minutes. I'll be as quick as I can. And I'm back. So I should clarify, I absolutely adore my wife's parents. I really do. They are really fantastic. But they definitely have that very parental thing of where there's like, oh, by the way, this really big thing, you've got to do it. You know, we're not going to warn you that you need to do it. We're not going to give you the information that you need to prepare for it. We're just going to say, oh, can you do this? Like, or did you do this? So it turns out they had gone out for hours and just hadn't told me. So, and then it was like, oh, by the way, did you realize we went out like 3 hours later and the dogs haven't been taken out? Tira says the sudden and inevitable chore they didn't tell you about. Yeah, exactly. My favorite one is what happened recently where they decided to tell me that we were having someone coming to view the house last week. Like late last week. By the way, just so you know, people were going to be viewing the house. And like, okay, thanks. The basement apartment, it is not ready to be viewed. Okie dokie. Fortunately, PS359, they did not appear to have pottied, which is nice. I'm very happy about that. So this should come out 0. And then we're going to do one more test, and we're going to test negative. Negative XP progress. Okay, so starting XP progress is going to be 0. And this time, our expected XP progress is going to remain 0. This is the expectation, because we can't go into negative XP progress, so it should 0 out. Let's run these tests and see what happens. Tira says their mum passed away last November. I'm sorry to hear that. But the unpredictability is something me or my autism misses. Yeah, no, that is the thing. Like massive, major upheavals in my day-to-day routine, and then just like, oh, by the way, someone's coming to view the house. Oh, by the way, we own turkeys now. Oh, by the way, we now own pigs. And I'm like, just warn me, like a week in advance, please. Tira says the lack of planning is real. Yeah. But yeah, my biological parents are, then I'm not going to go into the sordid details, but they're not good people. My wife's parents are, they're amazing, but like any parent, they just have their idiosyncrasies, and unfortunately theirs is a tendency to drop bombs on me. Okay, so everything passed. We now know this is all working, so we can minimize these tests. So the first few tests are done. The next one is, so we've gone back here. We've checked change XP progress. We now need to check to see if it actually improves. So we can just copy a lot of the prep we've already done. It's going to be mostly the same. We really don't care about XP progress anymore. But what we care about is skill level. So expected skill level is going to be expected level is going to be 1. Actual level is going to be MegaMek get level. Base cost to improve we need to do, but we're just going to initialize that as 0. We don't really care about base costs. We're not checking the actual costs here. We're just checking, has the skill improved? Okay, and we don't need to run all these tests, so we're actually just going to run this one, because these ones we know already work. So we just run this, has the skill improved? Weissman says, as long as they aren't literal bombs, well, yeah, one could hope so. We leave the actual bombs to MekHQ. By the way, guys, you know how you all love Princess loading up with fuel air bombs and just deleting your dudes? We fixed it. Fixed that last night. So you can look forward to that. Princess will still have access to bombs, but you'll find that she will not have as many bombs. I think we've reduced the amount of bombs she will load by about 50%. So you're still going to be stuck with the fact that stopping a bombing run is basically impossible, but that's an actual official rule problem. But what we can do is it's about half as much. Tira says it's about half often from experience if you use my numbers. Tira, are you Tazar on the Discord? If so, then yes. Okay, so we now know the skill is improving. Hurrah! Yeah, no, I used your numbers then. Yeah, you used it. Yeah, no, your numbers are what I used. Okay, so last thing but definitely not least, we now need to process veterancy awards. So we're going to go back into improved skill, and this time it's no veterancy. No veterancy. So we shouldn't need to test for SPAs, I don't think. How to do this? So trainee get options. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to have this return a boolean, and in this we're going to return process veterancy awards. Return code true. Was resulted in a new SPA or floor. If the trainee gained a veterancy award. So we are not really using this Boolean return in the code, but what we're going to do, we're going to use it in the testing. So we just need to come down here and so we've gained a message. Okay, so at this point we just return true. And all the other ones are going to be returning false. And this is kind of, I forget what the official name for doing this is, but it's basically a way of verifying has something occurred, but without it needing to go through the whole shebang. Now, it is possible we cannot test this. Actually, we're not going to. We're not going to test this because this would fall onto, like, this is a personal first thing. This should be tested in the person level. We know veterancy awards going to work, so we're not going to test veterancy awards here because then we have to simulate all the stuff over here, and really that should be tested in the person, not in training combat teams. So this is going to go back to being a void. This is that. There we go. Okay, so we've now tested thoroughly, improved skill. Now we need to test was training completed. And our first clause is going to be not enough XP. And I'm going to check, is in XP progress insufficient? Insufficient. Okay, so we're going to want to run this. It's going to need to be package private. And we just need to know the base cost to improve and the final XP progress. We can actually simplify this significantly. Radar says I sent my manticores out with the salvage team and having them help back salvage. Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% the way to do it. Boolean was training completed. Okay, and we want to return assert and false. This should be false. Was training completed. Okay, so base cost to improve is going to be 10, and final XP progress is going to be 5. We're also going to want to test whether we have enough XP. So base cost to improve is going to be 5, and final XP progress is going to be 10. And we want to run those two tests, but we might as well run all the others just to make sure we haven't broken anything. Tira says they love a Warhammer and never bad in a pinch. I like a Warhammer because it's very hard to take out unless you hit the SRM ammo, which honestly you can just dump the SRM ammo really. But as long as you don't hit the SRM ammo, being able to alternate between PPCs just feels cool, and it just means if you lose one of the PPCs, you can immediately continue without much loss of damage. Radar says what's nice is they found the arm that got blown off and just need to attach it. That's always nice. That is always nice. PS359 says dump the SRM ammo. Machine gun maybe. Listen. The amount of Warhammers I have lost from ammo detonation is too many. I got these flipped. This should be this way. No, what am I doing? This should be 5 and 5. And another one. Too much XP. Space cost to improve. We've got XP, so this should also. So these should assert true. Base cost to improve. Final XP progress is 5, so this is equal true. And down here, this should also equal true. Okay, let's run these one more time. Radar's talking about the new ammo detonation rules. Makes the ammo explosions the Warhammer very. The new ammo rules are fantastic. And listen, I have heard nothing. I know there's a lot of anxiety about the new core rules. I have heard nothing but good things from people who've actually read them. So it is absolutely always understandable to be a little bit anxious about a massive rules change. From again, what I have, from what I have heard from again people who have actually seen the new core rules, who have read them, a lot is very much the same. A lot is going. You're going to read through and like, oh yeah, no, that's the same as in Total War. The changes that I've heard about, I haven't heard any bad ones. So I think, again, anxiety is understandable, but I think you guys can be optimistic. Cautiously optimistic, if you will, but I do think you can be optimistic. So we now know that if we don't have enough XP, no training's completed. If we've got enough XP, training's completed. And if we have too much XP, training is still completed. So that's training completed done. Final XP progress is the next one. On wrong line. There we go. Right. Test. Get. Good. So we're going to set up the test and then we'll figure out what exactly we're testing. So training combat teams. Get final XP, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we need margin of success. Int margin of success. I apparently cannot spell. We also need to get target skill, but we know target skill. Target skill is fine. So target skill is going to be mech gunnery. What do we call it? Gunnery mech. Of course we call it gunnery mech because we can't be consistent. So at this rate, we're actually going to break XP baseline. We're going to take that out. And we're going to make this a class level constant. Then we can access it here. int final progress equals that. And expected progress is going to be this multiplied by margin. Oh, final static. There we go. That's what we need to do. Import. Only really using this a few times. It's fine, whatever. Okay, so let's jump back to Final XP. How is this chunking along? Target skill, change actual progress. Okay, that's all good. Okay, so we need to have an assert equals expected and final. But we don't want to use final actually, we want to use actual XP progress. And that's just going to be IllianiMek get XP progress. So this allows us to test that we are in fact, final progress is what we're expecting. But this is going to, XP progress is going to tell us what we actually did. Radar says, oh damn it, my head MekTech just made this damn Warhammer repair much harder. What do they do? CM Peterson says, I realize I'm becoming a grumpy old man, and my first thought is, back in my day, your mech blew itself to bits because of ammo. I really felt that way when they talked about taking out ATB. So here's the thing. We would love... I'll be perfectly real to you here, okay? I would have loved to leave ATB in. I think being able to access that history, because ATB did so much good for MegaMek, not just MekHQ, for MegaMek. The problem is just how it was written programmatically means that if we want to move on from ATB, we have no choice but to delete ATB. And it really isn't a case of we want to remove ATB, it really comes down to we have no choice. If you guys want things like persistent op4s, I use that as an example because that's the big one. Like if you guys want a persistent op4, we cannot have ATB. Tira says, back in my day, MekHQ ATB was a single JPEG and a thread. Okay, so 0 margin of success is going to be the first one. And that should be baseline times 1. Oh, I guess we can just do baseline. There we go. Then we can have non-zero. Okay, so it says here that it says here that this is always going to be 1, most likely it's going to come and tell us. But the thing is, we want to leave it like this just for ease of testing. So 0 margin success should equal the base rate. Non-zero should equal the base rate multiplied by margin of success. So let's run these tests and find out. Does this work? It should. Radar says their head MekTech broke the right torso. Well, see, it wasn't the MekTech. It was clearly one of the Aztecs. CM Peterson says, I'm open to it, but I will voice my thoughts and hopes about things I'd like to keep, like Starleague caches. Okay. Accept no other explanation. I want Starleague caches to come back. I really, really do. Of the like 3 ATB special scenarios that still don't have StratCon equivalents, which are Big Battle, Ambush, and Starleague caches. So those are the only 3 in that existed in ATB that do not have a StratCon equivalent. Big Battles aren't coming back because anybody, like I don't think any of you are going to disagree with this statement that like Stratcon does not need any help making big battles. It really, really does not need help. What would a Stratcon big battle even look like? An even bigger battle? Like you need to deploy your entire toe instead of 50%. Like a Stratcon does not need help making big battles. If anything, we would like the battles to be smaller. Ambush, I don't think ambush should come back. I found, because I played ATB a lot, I found that ambush didn't work because it basically turned into a 3-on-1, and you either had no chance of losing or you had no chance of winning, and it was so swingy. It was effectively MekHQ saying that character dies now, and it just isn't fun. CM Peterson says, does Stratcon have a battle like Pirate Free-for-All where there's two pirate forces you have to face? Yes, but not in this is the Pirate Free-for-All scenario. So you can have a freeway fight in Stratcon with unknown enemies, and that is your freeway fight. That is your Stratcon equivalent of the old freeway fight. And you can have a pirate free-for-all if you're fighting pirates and then get unknown enemies. So that has an equivalent within Stratcon. It's just not a direct this is the free-for-all scenario. So as I say, big battles not happening. Ambush, I don't like it. I just don't think it works. I don't think it had a good experience for the player, so that won't be coming back. So of the three, Starly Cash is the one that definitely 100% it is coming back. The only issue and the only reason it hasn't already come back is I'm still waiting for that inspiration, that idea that works, that isn't just, oh hey, you got the Starly Cash this week. If we're doing Starly Caches, we need to do it right. And I've had so many ideas. I'm just waiting for that one that I'm like, no, that will be fun for the players. And CMP even says, I keep asking, and hopefully I'll one day say it. Yeah, exactly. No, okay. Yeah, definitely. I promise you, Starly Caches will be coming back. It's just waiting on the right system. And then not a dev cycle goes by where I don't spend some time thinking, oh, how could I bring Starly Caches back? It's similar to prioritizing procurement. It was something I wanted for years. I was just waiting for the right approach. So, all our tests are going good, so we can move on to the next one. Yay! Which is sort skills highest. Skill level highest to lowest. Okay, we can do this. So, test. Why am I fumbling so much with my keyboard today? Yeah, that'll do. So for this one, we need to create a new skill. Okay, and we're going to have piloting mech. Okay, so that gives the skill to the character. And now we need to run combat teams. Sort skills lowest. And we're going to send in a list. It should be new. And we can do it like this. Skill list equal new array list. And again, if you've been listening for a while and you're not already, definitely consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified when we go live. And if you're feeling saucy, consider the subscribe button. Don't feel like you need to, but it's always nice when people do, and I appreciate it every time. Helps if I can spell skill right. That would be nice. And we're just going to have a list of skills. Is it skill? Yeah. Just checking that it wasn't stored as a string. Okay, we need to add to skill list Gunnery Mech and Piloting Mech. So Gunnery Mech is going to be first, which means we need to have Piloting Mech be larger. And so we're just going to pass this in. And then we're going to return assert true. Okay, yeah, no, assert true, I think. Assert true. And then we can actually do get first. Get first is a new thing that was added. And what are you going to say here? Yeah, whatever. And we want Gunnery Mech first. So actually, it's this. And then we're going to duplicate this and want not Gunnery Mech first. Which means we need to change this to 0. And we need to get Gunnery Mech set level. And I'm going to change that to 10. So this time it should be Piloting Mech. And there we go. Oh, it is so warm. Tira says random event tech probably doesn't tick right yet. So random events are something that I want. A random events system. And you guys have already seen the two prototypes so far. I'll go into that in a second. The random events system is going to be coming. That is probably the big major project after the advanced character builder. So advanced character builder is scheduled by the end of next year, and then the next step will be most likely. I'm not promising, but it will be most likely the random events system. Now I say you've seen two prototypes already. The first prototype is the little events that can happen when you have a convoy get intercepted and stuff like that. You get little roleplay events. That was the first prototype. The second prototype were prisoner events. Okay, so this is all good. Okay, next on the agenda is training impossible. So, training combat teams is training impossible. Okay, and the first one will be no skills. So for that, we're just going to send in a new array list. Actually, we can do one better. We're just going to send in list of. It's literally an empty list. And margin of success will be 1. We will get, in fact, barely made it, get value. There we go. So we are passing on barely made it, but we have an empty list. So that should Boolean result is training impossible, impossibly, and we're just going to assert true because there's no skills, so training is impossible. Next up, we want no skills and check successful. So next up, we need yes skills, but check failed. And we're just going to have a list of Gunnery Mech. And finally, we're going to, well, not finally, next up, we're going to have no skills, and check failed. Ultimately, this should just be the same as the first test up here, but we're going to test it anyway because we need to be thorough. And finally, yes skills, and check successful. And that is going to return to gunnery mech. And this time we want to assert false. So let's run these tests. Tira says, do we have the ability to create a contract that employs yourself, and or we can create a scenario with our contract context? No. No, we don't. We don't have either of those. The ability to create a contract that employs yourself, that doesn't exist, but that is something that we could easily do with the contract rewrite. Creating a scenario without a contract, the only way you can do that is to create a mission first, which is like the most basic type of contract. But even then, if you have a mission, you're not going to be able to do anything like Stratcom maps or basically anything. So the very short answer is no, we can't do either of those. Okay, so why are we making all these tests? Tests are a way to verify that what we're doing is correct. So we can see here, this did not return false. Why? So let's have a look here. So return false is training impossible. Okay, first up is training impossible. We do have a list. The list is not empty. Aha, here's the mistake. This is the naughty little mistake. It should be less than barely made it. And there also should be a link. And if we hadn't run these tests, that bug would have entered production. Man, my typing is so bad today. Margin of success. There we are. So now let's rerun the test that failed. Okay, and then that actually brings us to the end of what we need to test, because we're testing all the new stuff. It looks like we've got an error. Why, oh why do we have an error? Give me the error. Oh, okay, that's fine. We just need to update that. Let's come back here. Are we good? Okay, we're still waiting for the initiatives. Okay, so while we're waiting for the initialization, I'm going to have Claude update the class level Java doc. There we are. And also, let's double check, is our legal statement correct? It is. Hurrah! The class level Java doc is if I hover it over, it tells you all about the class. And it's important to keep this up to date. Okay, so that passed successfully. We're now going to, once it finishes running, we're going to rerun all these tests. And then the final thing we do is rerun all of the tests. So let's rerun all the tests in this class. And then we know that they are definitely all working. And then the next step is to rerun every test in the program to make sure it's not conflicting with any existing tests, which unfortunately is a thing that can happen. Yeah, it really is unfortunate, but it is a thing. It is a thing what can happen, and it ain't fun. That was actually added in 5010. So that means if this was added in 5010, it has only, like, this version, this older, not older, but yeah, let's guess older, the older version of of training combat teams only lasted like 3 versions before 3 or 4 versions. Okay, so we still failed a check. Is training impossible? Yes, skills check failed. Ah, because you put the wrong value in. There we go. So these tests previously passed because of the bug. T-Rex says, my Star League cache idea is essentially a self-employed variant of an objective raid with the payoff is a modified base attack mission and needs to be discovered. Generation with leverage, utility skills like archaeology, the very... Yeah, that's one of the ideas I've had as well, but that's a lot of code that needs to go into that, and it's definitely not getting done any time before the contract overhaul. Which, by the way, is progressing nicely. I'm really happy with the progress we've made so far. My objective is going to be to next go through each line of code line by line and just update it, edit it, make it nice. Looks like all our tests are passing. Good. Which means it's now time to read and make sure Claude's not talking out of his ass. So yeah, that's all our tests done. Next up, let us go ahead and run all tests. So we just need that running in the background. Okie dokie. Manages the daily training progression of combat teams and their personnel within a campaign. Each day as a combat team is assigned to a training role. Each day. The class drives the full pipeline, validating eligibility. So this is a mistake. It should need to be each week. Combat teams assigned to someone different full training. Expert training, advancing skills, result is okay. We're not going to worry about these because these are just subject to change. Other than having long ass messages, this looks good. Scope, I don't really care about that, but the entry point's good, cool. And we'll just get rid of these don't we care. Okie dokie, so that's that, but it says it happens daily, which I want to verify that we are not doing this daily. Because I am not giving you guys 7 XP a week. No, it only runs on Monday. Okay. Yeah, you guys are not getting 7 XP multiplied by margin of success per week. Okay. Team Peterson says, I mainly just hoped for some interesting weapons when I get those missions. So what I would want is for Star League caches to always be interesting. Not necessarily interesting in the way that you get like always necessarily good stuff out of it, but something interesting. One of the things that I come up with is to have a kind of like choose your own adventure of exploring the old Star League cache. That's kind of that's my primary idea. There's just so much going into that, a lot of writing. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, I am not a good writer. I think that was at the 7 XP a week. What are you guys talking about? It runs on Monday. Get day of week. Process training combat teams once a week. Yeah, it's all good. Okay. So choose your own adventure is kind of what I'm angling towards. because it could just be fun. The only problem is, like, I can write okay, but the problem is, like, we keep having people saying, oh, I'll write for MekHQ, and then they realize how much work it is, and we get a whole bunch of people volunteer, and then 9 times out of 10 we get nothing. We might get 1 or 2 entries and then nothing else. And Tiris knows what I'm talking about, because as Tiris has volunteered their time and has come to realize just the volume is just insane. Like, there are 500 different roleplay events that can happen through convoys. 500. And we have to have it that high because we need each to feel unique, otherwise it gets repetitive and boring. Okay, while we're waiting for this, I need to go get some water, so I'm just gonna step away. I'm not gonna bother putting this into be right back. I'll just be seconds. I'm back. Okay, so we got failing tests. Where are these tests failing? So let's head over to Safari. Effect Events Manager. Okay, so this sometimes fails, but that shouldn't be inherently failing. So let's run this again. There's something wrong with that specific test, and I don't know what the cause is. So we're just gonna run that again. Radar says they need to get back to writing the personality stuff. I have it open, I just need to get back to it. Like, here's the thing, like, I'm saying that we get lots of people volunteer and then nothing comes from it. Like, that, I'm not disparaging anybody. Okay, I want to be very clear on that. I am not disparaging anybody. I think it's more that people do not realize how much writing goes into these systems. Yeah, and I genuinely do think that people are like, oh, I can write for MekHQ, and they just do not realize that it's not a case of just writing 5 things. The stuff is measured in the hundreds. Radar says I'm being lazy about it and playing MekHQ instead of writing for MekHQ. Yeah, like I say, I'm not casting shade on anybody. I get it. I get it because I'm the one that's written them all. But I have long accepted that if I want MekHQ to become the kind of game I want it to be, the kind of story generator I want it to be, I have to do a lot of writing. And it is just unfortunate that my writing skills are okay. Impressively okay. Tira says, I'm surprised you even wrote this many to begin with, it's mad. Never underestimate the power of autism. I literally wrote a random generator. So some of the reasons why they sound very similar, a lot of them, is I literally made a random generator to I will say, Tiris, I'm not as bad as I used to be on the purple prose, on the being dramatic like that. The convoy stuff was my first major writing for MekHQ, and it is very dramatic. But the reason why some of them are really very similar is I literally had a random generator in Excel that I just pressed random generate and then used that as a prompt for myself. Okay, I just got some good news. Oh yeah, no, I'm taking no offense. Like, literally, the convoy stuff was the first writing I had done in years. Tira says, decently varied. One thing I ran into is that's also hard to keep stuff generic. It really, really is. The convoy stuff's really challenging. I will be perfectly honest. I might just... So if you haven't done a lot, I might just tear it all out, and then we can move convoys to use the same system that prisoner events use. And the thing with the prisoner events is, so the prisoner events were made how they were made as a direct answer to the problems in the convoy events. So one of the issues I had, okay, all our tests successful now, sweet. So, okay, Terrace, if you've only done 20 and you don't mind, let's scrap that, and I will look into, once I'm back from my break, converting the convoy events into the same system that prisoner events uses. So for those of you who aren't aware, how the prisoner events work is they present you with a problem and then ask you how you want to solve it. Every response you have, so there's usually 4 responses. Each response has 2 results. And there's a dice roll that determines whether whatever you're trying to do is successful or not. And so if you're successful, you get result A. If you are unsuccessful, you get result B. So what that means is with 4 options, a single prisoner event can have 8 possible outcomes. And internally, we log, oh, is this a good option or is this a bad option? And that dictates your chances of success plus some dice rolls. And so in this way, rather than the convoy events, which are like 500 odd different instances, and that is 500 things that need to be unique. With convoy or other prisoner events, I think there's only like 20. There's not many at all, but they don't feel repetitive because the outcome is, I don't want to say always different, but because the outcome has 8 possible consequences, like 8 possible outcomes. And I think that's probably the way to do it, honestly. I also think that the personalities would benefit from no variety in, like, so right now each personality has like 8 possible descriptions. I think if I'm being perfectly honest, we can break that down to 2. 1 for combat personnel, 1 for support personnel. Bam. It will make the descriptions less varied, but I think if we do that, it will make each individual description a higher quality. So let's put let's put a pencil line through this. Radar says it might. Okay, Radar says that might be a bad idea. I think Radar means that might not be a bad idea. But yeah, it would mean a lot less to write. It means we could, yeah, okay, Red, I'll just confirm they meant not bad idea. It would mean a lot less to write, and it would mean we can focus down and make each one in like better. And I think when I wrote the personality descriptions, I was terrified of repetition and people being unhappy with the variety, and so I went absolutely fucking insane. So let's draw a pencil into that. I'll make a note in the writers thread later, and yeah, let's draw a line through the rewrite for now, and we'll come back to it when I come back from my break, and we'll come at it with a much better plan. Radar says, do you want me to put a hold on the personality rewrite for now? Yes, hold off on rewrites for now. We're going to come at it with a different approach, an approach that's going to make it more sustainable and actually get us some results. I will put a note in the writers forum later, because I would far rather have fewer better descriptions than what we've currently got, which is a lot of not very good descriptions. Okay. So all our tests are running. So I think we're done. Just make sure I'm not reusing an existing branch. I am, but that's okay. Because this is added tests. There we go. Tira says that Crusader Kings 3 sums up personalities with things like deceitful, villain, pragmatic, do-gooder. That might not be a bad idea. So that's honestly not a bad idea. Rather than having descriptions, we just include the name of the personality. That might not be a bad idea. And Hammer says they whacked a bunch of stuff with Copilot. Fantastic. Like that may be the play, and that leaves room for the player themselves to say, oh, this character is vengeful and greedy. That tells you a lot about that character, more than just a big old chunk of not very well written text. Honestly, Tiris, I think you're right. I think that's the way to go. I definitely think that is the way to go. Yeah, let's do that. Because that gives us more room to work on convoy stuff. And here's the thing, I have a big writing project coming up that you guys are going to have a lot of fun with. It is a project that has been planned for a very long time. You're wondering how long? Well, you'll notice how vengeful sadist. Yeah, exactly PS359. So, but as I say, you ask how long I've had this writing project planned. Well, you ever notice when you're in the Interstellar map how you have to untick avoid empty systems? I wonder what that's for. Did you know the code is also in place to dictate how experienced the jump crew that you hire is? Oh, I wonder what that's about. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. It's definitely nothing. But all those systems are in place, but I'm not sure what they're there for, or why that would require us to have some writing in place. Who likes cannibalism? And also, by the way, I've worked out how to do time travel. But again, I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything. I mean, it's definitely nothing related to anything, really. So yeah, like that and that is the kind of thing that lives or dies. Stick the Dog says, I'll be getting misjumps. Yes, you are. Misjumps and getting stranded and the consequences for fucking stuff up. Before anybody panics, we are not using rules as written. We are not using rules as written. Rules as written, a misjump happens and I just delete your campaign. So nobody panic, we will not be using rules as written. It is even CGL, like I've seen CGL rules writers say that they're not super happy with the current system. So we are not using rules as written. It is not going to be a dice roll and then I delete your campaign. We're going to make sure it's narrative, it is fun, it is interesting. Radar says, ma'am, we somehow ended up in the middle of the fucking Amara Civil War. How the fuck? Yes, that will happen. We know, canonical. Hammer says it's 2 dice rolls. Yes, true. 2 dice rolls and I delete your campaign. But we know that misjumps can come up with timey-wimey bullshit. So, who wants to go back and punch Amaris? With your modern battle mechs. Good luck keeping them maintained. You think Lost Tech's bad? How do you feel about going back to a time before Endosteel? Like, Endosteel hasn't even existed yet. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And PS359 says, rules written isn't necessarily a death sentence. Yes, it is. A misjump can basically destroy half your campaign. Bear says, yeah, like how an SLDF ship and the Exodus ends up jumping into clan space some 200 years later. Yeah, so we have canonical examples, but this is the kind of system that lives or dies based on its narrative. And so this is going to be a really, really big, a really fun narrative writing opportunity, and I will be putting a call out for writers at the time. Tira says, Amara Civil War? I'm about to land 6 battalions on the French Agincourt. Once more into the breach, my friends. Once more for Harry and what the fuck? Yeah, I fucking love Henry V. It is my favorite of Shakespeare's plays. And the BBC did an amazing version of it years and years ago. Fucking, it is amazing. I have got so distracted I completely forgot what I was actually doing, and that was going over to MekHQ so we can push this crap. To Safari. Whee! We can come up with a better title than that. Information systems to offer a better play experience. Okay, so currently training formations work on a training points system, a hidden mechanic that tracks a character's progress towards a skill upgrade. This is a very clunky and hidden system, making it impossible for the player to track. Now, training formations reward partial progress towards skills next level. This means a skill that costs 20 XP with a few weeks of training might end up costing 12. Or be paid off entirely. There we go. Rita says her cheeks hurt now I laugh too hard. Yeah. Hey King Marl, glad you could join us. As you can tell, I'm very successfully Weissman sending their crew to 1066. The Bayou Tapestries has got a fucking warhammer on it. That's fun, but yeah, no. So this is a system I'm working on. It's going to be very cool. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to use a similar event system to Prisoners and what's Convoy. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's something I have planned. I've had planned for a while. I have the rules ready. I have the systems ready. It just requires hooking up. So what we'll probably do is we'll use convoys as the convoy rewrite, events rewrite as a way to, you know, like upgrade the prisoner event system, make it more generic. And then we'll go from that and we will make, we'll have our miss jumps and other fun, because I can use the same system. But the big priority right now is I have to get the contract rewrite done, because that's incredibly major. And I've actually asked the dev team to avoid fucking around in contract too much because of that. So that has to be the priority first. But then we can move on to other interesting stuff. So right now, it's 15 minutes before it's time for us to end. I'm getting very hungry. Tomorrow, there's still some tiny things I want to do. I want to have a UI so you can track easily how much partial XP a character has accrued. So that's something I want to do. I'll do that off stream because it's not super interesting. It's just adding a field. Tomorrow, I will tell you what we're going to work on tomorrow, because I think you all will be very excited to hear this. Mass training of SPAs. Select all your people, right click on them, select the SPA. Everybody who's able to buy that SPA will buy that SPA. Mass training of skills, where you just select people, you select the skill. Anybody who is able to train that skill will improve that skill. And that's what we're working on tomorrow. I was hoping that would be done today, but the training system was in a really bad state and needed a lot more work than I realized. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be working. Headbutting my mic now. That's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow. It'll be same bat time, same bat channel. So keep an eye out. Again, I do apologize about the at here. It's just because there was such a change in plans from Xenonauts 2 to what we're doing here. And for anybody who joined us late, just to explain, so last week I said that this week would be Xenonauts 2 and of course the Scriptorious Bastards. The plan has changed. There is some behind the scenes dev stuff going on where it's just not practical for me to leave right now. So I'm gonna be staying on. I'll probably stay on until it's time for me to move house. And then when I move house, the plan is I'll probably, because y'all know moving house is hell. So I'll probably play Xenonauts 2 then with you guys so that we can, just relax and chill. And of course, the Scriptorious Bastards. If I can never miss the Scriptorious Bastards, I never will. It's like, that is my highlight of my week. So what's gonna be coming next to the channel is I am in the process of setting you guys up a Discord so that you guys can join the Discord. It's going to be open to everybody. There will be a subscribers only place for those of you who are juicy and have subscribed, because I kind of want to try and give you guys some awards for being awesome subscribers, because I really appreciate you guys. And if you are wondering what am I doing with any money that I get from subscribers, they are all going directly towards getting me a new computer. So this isn't, I'm not spending it on crack and blow. It is going into the new computer pot so I can upgrade my computer, so I can work better, I can work faster, I can make the streams more enjoyable for you guys. So it's being directly reinvested back into content. But that all said and done, look forward to it. The Discord will be set up before the end of the week. I'll let you guys all know when it's done. We do have the new bandit emote coming. My artist says it's nearly done. And PSV59 says, well, geez, how are you affording your crack and blow? See, it's cheap if you make your own. But anyway, guys, I really appreciate you all coming out to spend time with me. Look forward to the stream tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. I've already made that joke. But for now, I am sugar crashing hard. So I'm gonna go get a snack, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Toodles! Oh, and if you haven't already, hit follow. Bye!